Season 2 of the new Bronx Edulution. We've got something great in store for you. I'm Timothy Coleman, Director of Education for BronxNet and your host for the show. Our rich history and culture are rediscovered through the stories of community members who take pride in our borough while sharing their journey towards success. Get ready to be uplifted and entertained. Me and the crew welcome you to the brand new Bronx Edulution.
What's up, creative family? I'm Timothy Stone Dancer Coleman, Director of Education here at BronxNet, and your host for the Bronx Edulution. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the word preparation. Now, you know that multiple episodes, each one has its own title, its own theme. We've talked about faith, we've talked about hope, we've talked about charity, we've talked about giving back, so many amazing topics, and today is one more of those. Now, preparation is officially defined as something done to get ready for an event or an undertaking. Right now, there are so many things that I'm sure you're already thinking about that we prepare for on a regular basis. And I just want to say that there's a difference between preparing for something and planning for something. So let me give you an example. Now, when we talk about planning, it allows a whole bunch of emotions to be in play through that entire process. That could be frustration or anxiety about something coming to fruition, or maybe something didn't happen exactly when you wanted it to happen, and so now you're upset. The difference with preparing is that no matter how long you wait, you're invoking wisdom, because you have to have patience, you have to have self-determination. You're making an actual plan so that no matter when it arrives, you're ready for it. Everything has timing, everything has a season. And it doesn't mean that we don't plan for anything or that we kind of recklessly go through life and just wait to see what'll happen. But when you're preparing for something, and I'm talking about something big, right? Like when you're looking for a job, maybe you want to start your own show, maybe you want to do a performance or an audition. You have to be preparing. There are so many dancers who don't wake up on a Monday morning and run to a dance audition. They've been preparing their bodies. They've been taking dance classes. They've been putting in all of the hard work so that when the opportunity came, the audition, they were ready for the audition so that after taking that step, they could actually get the job and do it and be phenomenal. So I think you get the point. We're going to be talking to an amazing member of our BronxNet team. She is our Director of Community Affairs. Her name is Audrey Duncan, and she is going to talk to us a little bit about how preparation and planning have gone into the different phases of her life, as well as her job here at BronxNet as the Director of Community Affairs. Audrey, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Timothy, for inviting me.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be right back.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Without BronxNet, I don't know how we'd be able to showcase the important and amazing talents that we have here at the Bronx. We've been able to feature lots of great artists, performers, people who deal with coffee and small entrepreneurship businesses, discuss controversial topics, and also be able to share the voice of residents that might not normally have access without a place like BronxNet.
Welcome back, creative family. Thank you so much for joining us again here at the Bronx Edulution. As we said before the break, I have the pleasure of interviewing one of my colleagues, Miss Audrey Duncan, our Director of Community Affairs here at BronxNet. And everybody already knows this is one of my favorite segments in the entire show because I get to introduce you to some of the people that are in the background helping make sure that we are living our mission, we are serving our purpose, we're engaging the community, and we're looking for every opportunity we can to bring in more funding and more attention to the work that we're doing here at BronxNet so that our community members can see their dreams come true when they come through the doors. So I set this scene up a little bit earlier, and I've put Audrey through a little bit of a rigmarole. So Audrey, thank you for being a good sport about this. Because I know Audrey, I know that a part of her upbringing was in the Bronx. It was on kind of a stoop, right? And we had been talking about perspective, right? And we've been talking about how people see the world. And what are some of the things that we believe about the world based on our view, right? So, Audrey, I just wanted to ask you, as we start, can you give us a little bit of an origin history? Like, where are you from? Have you always lived in the Bronx? And what's a little bit about your family?
Oh, wow. So I was born in Jamaica, West Indies, but I consider myself to be pretty much a lifelong Bronxite because I came here before I even started school. So all my schooling was done here in America. In the Bronx.
Specifically,
I came directly to the Bronx. My family, or some members of my family, were already here. My parents and a few of my older siblings were here. As is the case with many, I guess, immigrant families, if you want to say that. Sometimes others come here to make a way, and then they bring the younger children. So I do come from a large family. There are 8 siblings, and yes, I grew up in the Bronx, and this is my home.
So what's one thing that you really love the most about the Bronx?
Wow, I just love, I would say the colors, not just the physical colors, but the feel. You can feel the variety of colors and flavors in the Bronx, and which I was aware of from the time I got here. It was just such a fascinating place. Although I was living, in a certain street in the South Bronx, but it was vibrant, and I spent a lot of time looking out the window and just taking it all in and playing outside on the stoop.
On the stoop, yes.
Or on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk,
it was a great time.
So tell me a little bit about, like, some of the things that you witnessed, right? Because I love to people watch, right? I come from a family of people watchers. So what are some of the things that you would notice as you looked out the window on the things that were happening, like, on your block? And, did you ever write stories about it? Was it just cool to daydream about? Like, how did that affect you, and what did you see?
So everything I saw during my childhood is something I would like to put into a documentary eventually, and I think it would be very rich and flavorful. I did, like you, I loved people watching. I was a young child, but I pretty much knew who everyone was on the block, even if they didn't know me because, they were older, they didn't care.
Right.
But, there were people, for the most part, people were going to work, the children were going to school. There were others who maybe were a little wayward, so they were doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing, but even those people were
and they probably had no idea someone was watching them.
No idea. This kid was upstairs watching them. But even those people, they were still a part of the block, and they were still like protectors, if you want to say that. Like, I always felt safe. I never felt any danger from them, and they never really bothered anyone, at least as I saw from that particular block. And again, for the most part, most of the people were working people. I would say there were a large number of people at that time on that street from Puerto Rico, and then people whose maybe parents were from the South. So, I sort of, got
so it was a good
culture.
mix, right?
I mean,
it was a huge cultural mix, which it still is even to this day, right? The Bronx has so many different rich cultures. The food, like you say, is like the number one thing that kind of comes to mind. Would you like to take a stroll with me? Let's walk as if we're on your sidewalk, but we're inside, away from all of the elements, right? So let's talk a little bit about, in your family, Was there someone that was in nonprofit? Was there someone that was in, some sort of a job or an inspiration to you, so that kind of got you into this particular type of work?
A good question. Never thought of it that way before, but actually I would have to say yes, because my father is actually a minister.
Oh, okay.
And so he and my mother, I guess you could say, they were in service to the community no matter what they were doing.
Right.
I always observed them definitely being voters and being interested in, whatever was going on in government and in the community as well as in the church. So
it's always different when you have an example,
Yes.
right? Especially someone that's like in the home
Yes.
of some of these other really cool things. So really quick, if you could describe what was the process by which you came to BronxNet? Like, how did you even become aware of BronxNet? And then I want to move towards what do you do in your day-to-day job?
Okay. So I was working for an environmental organization and had the opportunity to do a PSA, a public service announcement, which is the equivalent of a TV commercial, but not
without all the extra promotions and payment.
And so after doing that, I said, wow, I really love this. I think I want to get into television. So I first sort of did an internship at what was then called Paragon Cable.
Okay.
And did that until it was bought out by a big company, I won't say which, and sort of the community programming department is what they called it, was going to be gone. So the timing was okay, though, because at that time, BronxNet was just being put into place. And a job notice was posted. I applied.
That's good.
And then I was hired as director of training and outreach. But I would say definitely just preparation for that was just taking that chance, moving from what I was doing in the nonprofit world to TV, and just being willing to work as an intern for barely any money.
So, I mean, but that's a big thing, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of the folks that we've introduced our audience to, they all started as interns. And I think it's really an invaluable lesson for people that, everything may not pay you right away, but in the end, if you invest 100% of yourself into what you feel the experience is going to be, then great and positive things can come back from it. So internships, check it out.
Absolutely. And while you're interning, just volunteer. Like I was working with a producer and I just offered to do all her writing, to do everything that she needed done. And she was happy for that. And she repaid me by teaching me everything I wanted to know about producing.
Oh, that's
so
great.
just volunteering and being willing to just help those
That's
around
really
you.
great.
Yeah.
That's really great. So then in your day-to-day job, as the Director of Community Affairs, what does that, for folks that don't know, right? We're always looking for a teachable moment. So first of all, what does the title mean? And what do you do on a daily basis?
I would say the Director of Community Affairs here at BronxNet has a lot to do with building partnerships with a lot of nonprofit organizations that are also in service to the Bronx. They could be environmental organizations, government entities, elected officials who are working for the betterment of the Bronx, educational organizations, arts, cultural, all of those organizations, and just figuring out different ways, creative ways to work together with them to improve the Bronx. Because we do that through our content, but also we like to do projects and events and other things.
Because it's more than just what's on TV.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
There are all of these other things that we can be a part of that spread our mission and our purpose into the community and make people aware of what we're doing even here at BronxNet.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's great. So then what comes next, right? So and I want to point out also, you played it very low key and I love it, but I want everybody to recognize exactly how important Miss Audrey Duncan is, right? Because you mentioned the different types of government agencies that you interact with, the arts agencies you interact with. There are a lot of different types of partnerships that you have to have in order for BronxNet to continue to spread the word and receive payment, so that we can keep serving the community.
Yes.
However, what comes next? Like, what is some passion or like a passion project or a hobby or something that you would like to do that comes, however you can fit it into your time?
Okay. So I guess there are passion projects that I want to implement here, as well as, just maybe independently. And I would say here, I would love to just take advantage of linking up with the creatives here, to involve some of our organizations in utilizing our new, for example, immersive studio, to imagine some change they would like to see in their neighborhood or in their block.
Yes.
And we're working with that organization for them to show people what it looks like, and then maybe help them get to their whoever elected officials and so on to help make that really happen. So I think
that's really
a
important.
passion project I would like to do here.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to let you get back to the second part of that answer.
Okay.
But I think it's really beautiful because a lot of times I think we don't realize I'm an extremely visual person. So people can explain things to me, and yes, I can get it and kind of keep moving. But it's always much more clear if I can see exactly like what are you talking about. So I think it's great that you would be able to partner with someone, bring them to our South Bronx studios where we have that immersive studio experience, and then they can create the environment that they want to see in the real world. I think that's really deep.
Yes, and as you know, we have the experts, including people like yourself, who can teach them how to do that.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. And so the second piece of your answer for that was a passion project here at BronxNet, but what about for yourself personally?
I would say I've always wanted to do more documentaries, and so you mentioned the early part of my life, because lately I've been really picturing, really picturing just, you would call them different scenes from different phases of my life, and I just love this story. It all comes together with what I'm doing now, and the people I'm meeting now, I say, wow. And sometimes I'm meeting people now who are explaining more about maybe certain cultures that I didn't even know what I was seeing back then. I just love visualizing that, and I just wanted to be on the screen for everybody to see things like experiencing people drumming, especially from Puerto Rico.
Yes.
When I was a kid, listening to them drumming right before an election, drumming and creating little songs right there on the scene as they drummed on the cars. Singing a song about the candidate they loved or something.
Right.
But all those sorts
That's
of
so Bronx.
images.
I love it. That's so Bronx.
And I just want to include all of that in just a documentary that I think people really, just gather warmth from.
I love it, and I think it goes back to how we're always talking about reclaiming our own story, right? And making sure that other people don't get to own the story of the Bronx, because there's so much potential, there's so much rich culture, there's so much love and passion that is here. So I really wish you well on that project. I hope that it comes together. Anything, you're here at BronxNet, so you're surrounded by all of this amazing talent. So I hope we can get everybody, kind of in the right direction to help you see that vision come to life.
Oh, thank you, Timothy. I know that everybody here is a great partner in whatever project that each of us chooses to do.
100%.
We have so many choices of great partners to work with here.
100%. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Timothy.
I hope you had a good time here with us.
Oh, it was great.
At the Crazy Edulution. We will be right back after these messages.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit bronxnet.org to learn more.
The Bronx Edulution. We are Bronx Strong.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Abraham Ovages, and I am a high school English teacher in the Bronx. Thank you so much for joining in today. Today's lesson is titled Heroes Amongst Us, and we will focus on how characters develop in stories through a storytelling structure called the hero's journey. Before we begin, I want us to consider some questions to help us get our brains thinking. The first question is, what is the hero's journey, and how do authors use this structure to write and develop stories? The second question is, how do characters in stories overcome challenges, and what lessons do they learn? The third question is, what heroes or people do we personally know that have overcome challenges in their lives? And the final question, in what ways do you embody heroic characteristics? You can go deeper in your understanding and analysis of characters in a story by paying close attention to the characters' actions, their thoughts, and what they say to you, the audience, or to other characters. This information helps us learn more about the character, and we see how these characteristics come to play throughout the story. Essentially, the hero's journey is a story structure that you most likely have encountered before. So first, the hero is called to go on some form of adventure. When they start their journey, they come across a character or mentor who gives the character advice and guidance. Next, the hero leaves their known world and reality and enters the unknown world, where they meet other allies, enemies, and various obstacles. After overcoming these challenges, the hero is then met by the biggest challenge of them all and must defeat this enemy. After defeating the enemy, the hero is rewarded, leaves this new and different world, and returns home. What stories and movies do you know that follow this structure? There are many examples like The Avengers, Harry Potter, and others. For this example, we're going to use the hero's journey with the famous movie The Lion King. So first, Simba is called to an adventure. Simba becomes heir to the throne in the Pride Lands, a world that is familiar to him. Simba is called to go on an adventure after Scar kills his father, Mufasa, and tells Simba to leave the Pride Lands. Simba leaves the Pride Lands and is scared and alone. He retreats to the desert where he meets his mentors, Timon and Pumbaa. Timon and Pumbaa introduce Simba to life in the jungle and embraces the Hakuna Matata life and lives with his mentors. Another ally joins Simba, Nala. They meet and they both fall in love. Nala asks Simba to return to the Pride Lands and to take the throne from Scar. Also, Mufasa, Simba's father, his ghost also tells his son to return to the Pride Lands. Simba returns to the Pride Lands and faces Scar. So this is his big ordeal, right? This is the big enemy that Simba needs to defeat. So when he returns to the Pride Lands, he goes and faces Scar. And while he's facing Scar, Simba learns that Scar killed his father. As a result, Simba defeats Scar in the great battle. And as a reward, Simba reclaims the throne as king of the Pride Lands and returns home to where the story started in the Pride Lands. One way to remember the hero's journey is to think about your own personal heroes in your life. What adventures do these people go through? What challenges have they overcome? Or what challenges do they continue to overcome every single day? When I think of heroes in my life, I think about our police officers, firefighters, our teachers, doctors, people who are on the front lines protecting us from harm. What lessons do these people learn through their adventures? Also, think about yourself. In what ways are you heroic? What challenges have you overcome in your personal journey? I hope you enjoyed this short lesson. Here are some ideas to further your thinking and exploration with the hero's journey at home. Think about your own story, right? Maybe you can come up and write one, whether it's based on something that's real or something that's fictional, using the hero's journey structure. Another idea is when reading a book or watching a movie, identify how the hero's journey structure is used to develop the overall plot and characters. Lastly, create your own hero inspired by someone that you know. What challenges does this hero overcome? What lesson or lessons does your hero learn in the end? I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you so much for your time. Be well.
The Bronx Edulution. We are Bronx Strong.
Hey, creative family, thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of the Bronx Edulution, where our word for the day was preparation. Remember, there is a difference between planning and preparing. Use your wisdom, go with your gut. You know already we are here to support you. You already have 100% of everything you need in order to see your vision released into the world. I want to thank our guest today, Miss Audrey Duncan, Director of Community Affairs. And I want to say thank you so much, Audrey, for sharing your story, sharing your passion and your purpose and why you're here working at BronxNet. You truly do make all of these things possible for us, and we appreciate you for it. So as always, I'm going to go join my team, and we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Please come back soon and watch us for our next episode of The Bronx Edulution.